position, whether you experienced it firsthand or secondhand. So you may have seen it happen to someone or it happened to you before. Because I remember a girl at work with me, she said she had a boyfriend that put her out at 2 o'clock in the morning. They were living together, and he put her out at 2 a.m. in the morning, and she made a decision that nobody would ever do that to her again. So you know how she coming up, swinging. No man is going to be able to put her out again.
Real quick, based on what you said to you.
Sure. Hold it for her, Onika.
One of the things that we have to recognize though is our trauma does not belong to anybody.
We need to heal. That's right. That's right. So we have another contribution from the showroom.
So to your point, Celia, one of the things that I guess I could use myself as an example. When you do have men who love well, but you have not grown up in that, it is very troublesome in relationships.
Yes.
Because as a woman, it takes a while to understand this person means well. They're not trying to manipulate me. And that, every time they come and they're like, I'm not accustomed to this, you start to run. So you
self-sabotage. Somebody here say self-sabotage.
You self-sabotage. So when I listen to all of the things that you said, is like, this person does have a lot of these qualities, but you need to fix you.
Yeah. So you see, at this stage, I can look back and I can see and that's why I said growth is so important to me, because I've grown as an individual. Simon can give me things now, and I'll take them, of course. But there was a time where I would not accept gifts from men. But you grow, you recognize certain things in yourself. You say, look, I can't carry this through life. As you said, your trauma is yours. It's not anybody else's. So you can't expect somebody to come and alter the way how they operate because you have this deficit in your life. You have to deal with your deficit so that you can then come to the table as a healthy person and make a healthy contribution to your relationship and not have that impediment that you're walking with. You constantly with a limp and somebody gotta run and coddle you all the time and you know.
This person that is speaking tonight is a different version of a person I used to be. So the things I say are not meant to talk down, look down, or make people think that I don't understand, because Celia can tell you, and the young lady there can tell you, I do understand because I lived a traumatic life. I lived a life full of abuse. I lived a life full of a lot of things. But growth does not come until you recognize something is wrong. So we can add stuff to ourselves. We can go to university, we can buy cars, we can buy homes, we can dress nice, we can do whatever we want. But we will still show up as that broken person who needs to heal. And healing only comes with sitting down with yourself and your manufacturer. Because let me be real, if you got a phone that mash up, you can carry it to Promotech. But if Promotech can't fix your Apple phone, you can carry it to Apple. So we have to sit down and tell ourselves, I can't fix me, this man can't fix me, the only one that can fix me is my manufacturer, which is God. So we need to sit down with ourselves, get quiet with God, and let Him tell you who you were supposed to be before the man harmed you, before the man interfered with you, before you lost your job, before this body see you and tell you you will make people sick, before this body give you things and take them back. Those things add layers of brokenness to you that you have to peel off first before you can love anybody, because we're showing up but we don't love ourselves.
Monica, listen to me, right? I would say this. I was traumatized because people not keep their word. They're not keeping the word and you're traumatized. So as a result, if somebody else comes along and you start to show me Marcus, I'm not sure if you're genuine. I'm going to start to self-sabotage because I'm not sure I can trust you to do this. So I will read back, I will hit you. I as soon as I feel like I'm falling and I ain't sure, I pull it back. I want to run for the hills, right? And you know what I have come to realize? I have said, you know what, at the end of the day, if I don't give the people the opportunity to show me, I can't judge it based on what happened in the past. If I do not focus on my healing, give somebody else a chance, I am blocking my own blessings. It might have just been a lesson for me to move on to something else. And I have to have enough confidence in God that no matter what, this person does, with the trust that I give them, that he will make sure I am fine. If I move in with you, and you decide that you're gonna cheat, you get married, you cheat, you do whatever, at the end of the day, God, He's gonna have my back, regardless of wherever it turns. So my faith and my trust is now in the fact that I will allow you the room, and perchance it doesn't work out, God want me to.
Or it don't work out.
Or it might just work
It will
out.
work out.
You
But we don't
understand?
we're
So I'm just moving with that.
Give the chance.
And it took me till about 3 months ago to get to this place.
Healing is a journey. So we have another contribution from our showroom audience. Go right ahead.
But it's really a question, really.
Sure. Good night.
How do you heal as a woman in a relationship as you think
Well, again, how do you?
how do you heal as a woman if you think that you're in a relationship abusive?
What kind of abuse? Because there are different types.
I would say emotional and
I would say that it doesn't matter. If it's physical abuse, my first thing is to get out because you could lose your life. That's my first thing if it's physical. Any other type of abuse, you've got to have that conversation with your partner. Is that person willing to go to counseling? That's something we're going to touch on another show, right? If they're willing to go into therapy, if they're willing to understand another perspective. Because, and it's not easy, it's when you're on the outside looking and you say, oh, well, she should stand for that, whatever, but maybe you have children with that person, maybe you have financial commitments with that person, you're locked in other areas of your life, and you can't necessarily just get up.
Has been abused and repeated.
Well, typically abusers are people who have been abused or have witnessed that behavior. But the bottom line is, and that's why I started this show by saying my number one quality is growth. Because I don't care what you've been through, are you willing to change?
That's it.
I don't care what you saw your father do, are you willing to change? I don't care what you saw your mother tolerate, are you willing to change? And if that person is willing to change, then I would say don't navigate that on your own as a couple. I'll give an example. A few weeks ago, Simon and I had a very huge disagreement. And he wanted to talk about it. And I said to him, we are not navigating this between the two of us. I am not talking to you about this without a third party. Because he felt he was right, I felt I was right. We were not going to get anywhere and it was just going to get ugly. And I saw that. So I said, no, I'm not talking to you about it. We booked a session with our counselors and we see a couple. So we get both a male and female perspective. And we met with them the Thursday. So the incident happened on the Sunday. And Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, we met on Thursday night with our counselors to discuss it. And that's where we had the opportunity to ventilate the issue. So if you are in a relationship or any person's in a relationship that they feel is abusive, the first step is to say, if you recognize that that's what's happening, to ask for an independent third party. If that person is unwilling, then you have to start making a plan for your exit strategy. For your own peace of mind, for your own wellness, for your own well-being, you have to come up with an exit strategy. You might not be able to jump up on a second and decide that you're going to leave, but maybe if you're a stay-at-home mom, you decide, look, I want to get a job. You want to get your financial independence. If you have family members that you can rely on, you may want to say, well, I'm thinking about moving back home because things are not where I would like them to be. But to heal in that situation is hard because it's constantly being repeated. It's not a one-time incident that you're forgiving. You are living in that trauma constantly. So you forgive something today, something else happens tomorrow. So unless that person is willing to confront that behavior, 1. 2, make a change to that behavior. And 3, walk it out with you, it's going to be difficult to continue in that relationship. So you have to be able to have that conversation. If you don't feel confident to say it verbally, you may put it in writing. You may say, hey, would you be open to going to counseling? Would you be open to seeing a pastor? And you begin to navigate that situation. So that's what I would say for a person in an abusive situation. But if it's physically abusive, I would say get out and deal with it from a distance. You can still be in communication, you can still do counseling and stuff, but the first thing you will do is put some proximity between you and that person if you're being abused physically.
I agree with everything Tia says, but I'll add a twist to it. sometimes what feels like abuse, especially emotional abuse, because that's very tricky. If a man hits you, there's no two ways about a man hitting you. But emotional abuse can also look like a wound that you have that somebody keeps touching. Because if I fell and I hurt my knee that had nothing to do with a man, and I get up and somebody, what's going on? I feel like you've abused me because you triggered something that hurts. So, along with what Telia says about distance and counseling and all that, ask yourself, what about what this person does bothers me so much? And is it really what this person is doing, or is this a reaction from something that I've experienced before?
And that's where the third party comes in, because the third party helps to bring objectivity. Because when we are in our feelings, sometimes we can't see past our own emotion, our own viewpoint. And so that's why a third party is so important. So we are winding down our on-air conversation. You guys in the showroom, you don't have to go. We can actually have more conversation when we say goodbye to the listeners in Radio Land. But we're winding down our conversation here in the studio, and before we go, I just want to say Happy International Women's Day to all the women every day, everywhere. Old women, young women, strong women, women with disabilities, working women, stay-at-home women. I just want to say Happy International Women's Day to these amazing ladies who agreed to be a part of the panel this evening. And to all of you here in the showroom at Standard, Happy International Women's Day. Over to you, Stokely and Simon.